Like a lot of people, I love to travel. Everything from a simple camping getaway on the weekend to a multi-week trip to the far side of the world. But most of the things I use to make coffee at home can't go on the road with me because they're either too big and bulky or they're simply too fragile. But there's been some interesting innovation in the travel coffee brewer market, specifically collapsible pour-over drippers. But I want to know, do these things actually work as well as a regular dripper? And do they make good coffee? Well, today, I hope to answer those questions, so let's talk about it. This is my go-to pour-over dripper. This is a Hario V60 clone, so it's not actually made by Hario. I picked this up on Etsy. It's just an inexpensive Chinese-made copy. Some of the specifics of this type of brewer are that they have a very large hole in the bottom, so there's nothing restricting the flow of water through the coffee, and so you control the speed of your extraction by adjusting your grind size. This is very different from many flat-bottom style brewers that have very small holes to limit the speed of the water flowing through the coffee. This is kind of the gold standard in pour-over drippers. In these weird and wonderful little travel brewers here, these are all designed in that same philosophy. And you might notice right away that these are a little bit smaller because these are an 01 filter size, not the 02. So this one's designed to hold up to 4 servings of coffee, but these guys are designed to be more 1 to 2 cups, and let's be real, these are designed for 1 person at a time. So we have 3 different designs here. We have this ridiculous spring-loaded thing, and it collapses by hooking the upper ring around one of these tabs here. So it just goes like this, and then that's how big it is, right? This thing seems pretty robust and pretty lightweight. This one is silicone, and it comes with a detachable little holder. So this thing just snaps on, and you just kind of push it down on itself. There we go. And then the bottom also pokes up through the center to make it a little bit flatter. This is the one that really piqued my interest. So this is a 3-sided origami style one, and there's lots of different ones. These are all the inexpensive ones that I could find on Amazon. You can find, versions of this that are, $50 or something like that. All of these were basically $10. I can get this bugger apart. Okay, so there we go. Look at how tiny that is. And this is a decently robust, heavy gauge stainless steel. This one is the smallest, the heaviest, and the hardest to put together. See if I can even do this now that I'm trying to show you guys. Bend, there you go. So you kind of have to bend it a little bit to get it to fit together because of how these pieces all interlock. But now that it's sat there, man, it is super solid. Very different from either one of these. We're gonna brew the same coffee with all of these, and instead of doing it on top of a nice carafe or a nice ceramic mug, we're gonna try and go full experience here. I've got some paper cups, and instead of using my wonderful gooseneck kettle, this guy, if you're traveling, unless you're a crazy person, you're not gonna bring something like this with you. You're probably gonna use whatever you have to hand. And so to replicate that, I borrowed this from my neighbor. My neighbor actually told me that this thing dribbles pretty badly. So it's not an ideal tool, but it is an ideal tool for seeing how easy it is to brew with these things. The only little creature comfort is I'm gonna use a scale because this little sucker, which is like $10, you can easily throw in your suitcase. This is just convenience. This is really, really easy to measure your coffee and your water. So let's say I go to Europe for a week and I take one of these with me. What is that actually gonna look like? What's the kind of worst case, most difficult scenario in which I use it? Paper cup, terrible kettle with my scale. That's probably how things are gonna be. So without any further ado, let me get some coffee ground and we'll see how these things work. Delicious. This is Kona Earth's classic full city blend. So this is kind of my go-to from the Kona Earth product line. Obviously today I'm gonna fresh grind it because I can. I don't know if I do that on the road. We're using a great coffee, something that's gonna do us some favors because it's hard to over extract, hard to under extract. This is an easy coffee to brew. So at least we know that if one or more of these brews ends up tasting bad, it's not the coffee that's at fault, it's the brewer. Well, maybe the operator, we'll see. If you'd like to try the coffee I'm using in the video or pick up one of these Kona Earth branded Airscape containers, visit konaearth.com and use the promo code COFFEETALK for 10% off your first order. Okay, so I have here 3 measures of 18 grams of coffee. They've all just been freshly ground off camera. I'm expecting to like this one more than I like this one, and this one more than that one. It seems like it's gonna hold the paper filter pretty evenly, so it's gonna be very similar to a normal glass V60 setup. This one I think is gonna be a little awkward, but still pretty rigid unless I hit it. And then this guy is just skating all over on the top of this, and I don't know how well it's gonna stay upright. Plus, I think the cone is not as tight as this one. Here goes nothing. Give it a slosh, I guess. You can't really give it a swirl. Now I'm rethinking my choice to use this stupid thing. All right. Boy. So you can't swirl it around. Kind of just have to fill it up and let it drain. This is very weird for a V60 style brewer. Already I'm getting a little bit of a weird extraction because it's trying to clump in the corners. Well, you know, that doesn't look too bad, honestly. There's a little bit near the top, but you look at that and we do have a nice flat bed of coffee. Coffee in, give it a swirl. This feels very familiar. Getting a very even extraction of carbon dioxide, and even wetting it just seemed simpler because you can just use that very natural round motion with the kettle. It also seems to have a bigger volume. I can get more water in here at once. There we go. I need to buy them a new kettle. This thing's awful. This thing's flowing really, really fast. It's slowed down a little bit, okay. Because we're right about 2 minutes and we're almost dry. A little bit faster than that one, but nothing crazy. Nice flat bed, but there's a lot of crud sitting up here at the top. There's nothing to grab onto. Give it a swirl. Well, it's not as unstable as I thought it would be. It's not bad. We still got 100 mils to go. This is actually quite pleasant and feels really normal. There you go. Nice flat bed. Really nothing held around the top. That's amazing. I'm gonna keep them in the same order. It's missing some of the acidity. Maybe it's a little bit hollow. Let's try this one. Am I crazy, or does that taste a little bit better? Yeah, that tastes better. I didn't think it would taste that different. It feels like it's missing some of the complexity to the flavor. There's a little bit more bitter going on. It tastes like part of it got over-extracted and part of it got under-extracted at the same time. You know, there's probably like a 15% difference between these two cups. A lot more than I was expecting. A good cup of coffee, but this is a great cup of coffee. Yeah, that tastes pretty much like the other cone. Yeah, I don't know if I could tell the difference between these two. These two both taste great. It's nutty, grassy, chocolatey kind of a flavor. I don't think there's much of a difference between these at all. It doesn't look like it should taste that different, but it just does. The one that I preferred was this one, by far. Surprising how easy to use it is and how good of a cup of coffee that makes. I'm pretty impressed. So in the coming months, I'm hoping to go visit the Kona Earth coffee farm in Kona, Hawaii, and I'm definitely gonna be taking this thing with me. Not only did it work, in my opinion, just as well as a standard V60 dripper, but this thing was actually a lot of fun to use. And ultimately, that's what this is about. See what I mean? Can you take a coffee brewer with you that not only makes good coffee, but isn't an inconvenience and maybe is even enjoyable to use? This thing ticks all of those boxes. Go make yourself a cup of coffee, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.